evening. I thought it'd be a good idea to meet you again, as we did earlier, to talk about Unai Emery, the process of choosing the manager of Arsenal, and things that may be of interest to you. Otherwise, you know what to do. Just go. But quite clearly, now that Unai Emery has been chosen as the new manager of Arsenal, and all that will be announced very soon and presented during the week, you have to get to know a little bit more about him. Okay, was Emery first choice and not Arteta? That's what Mike is asking. Arsenal spoke to 10 managers, and not everybody had to do with each other. So Arteta doesn't really have to do a lot with Unai Emery, but they wanted to check all of them to see, number one, the reaction to the structure of Arsenal, the personality, the chemistry, if they actually represented the values of Arsenal, and if they could continue the progressive football of Arsenal as well. Then something else which is a bit worrying, the idea that can they continue with Arsene Wenger's philosophy, idea, etc., when you actually are looking for a head coach. So that's not what Arsene Wenger used to do. And Arsene Wenger has been so fundamental and is so deep ingrained in the DNA of Arsenal up till now. To include the shadow of Arsene Wenger into the future head coach is a bit worrying. But and also perhaps is worrying the fact that those coaches that they've spoken to, Luis Enrique, Unai Emery, Arteta, have not got too much to do with each other. But certainly they have done a very thorough process, and you have to give that to Arsenal. So at the end of it, there was clearly a choice to make. Now, everybody all the managers that I know that have been speaking to Arsenal wanted to know more about the structure of the club and not so much the exact net spending, but who's going to take the decisions. Unai Emery has worked with directors of football before, understands how Arsenal's works. Inca, I'm going to I'll talk to you about the style, but in a minute. But he knows he was with Braulio at Valencia. Interestingly enough, I think it was after finishing the first season, he finished 6th at Valencia then. But it was a Valencia that, even though they had won the cup, it was a Valencia that was imploding. So he held it together, and that's very key. He gives a stability to the teams. So important, which means there is a process. There will be selections of players, of course. There will be work every single day, and Arsenal will get to the level that deserves the quality of the players they have. It will be as simple as that, and that has to be fighting for top 4, obviously. Let's see if Manchester City continue with this progression, because it'll be difficult to win the league, but you should see Arsenal further up the table for sure. Now, stability is something he gives them. Now, in the second season, he finished 3rd, I think it was, and 3rd as well in the following one. In the middle of those 2 third places, Braulio, the director of football, who didn't really embrace Unai Emery, as the club didn't fully embrace him either. He started demanding more. And that's one thing that Unai Emery does with his teams. He actually makes them better than they look sometimes. So Braulio, the director of football, was asking Unai Emery to actually challenge Barcelona and Real Madrid for the title. Crazy. That's not what Valencia were about. In fact, he was punching above his weight. As following years, you could see that. In the 3rd season at Valencia, Silva and Villa were sold and still managed to get them 3rd. I just put the finger in my eye. Sorry. Still managed to get them 3rd. And the experience at Sparta Moscow didn't work, partly because of his language. And that is important. He speaks English. We've done interviews in Revista with him in English. But he has to improve his English. He knows that. He's been taking lessons on and off, and he will pick it. He will pick it very quickly. You have to see what he did with his French. He spoke a bit of French, and the first press conference he gave, he just went with his French. Why not? Be brave. And he progressively got better and better, of course. Language is important for many reasons: to understand where you are, to understand which club you're in, to understand the fans, to talk to the fans, to talk to the players. Talk to the players. That's important because he actually, one of his magic is to be able to get the best out of players in 1v1, just to talk to them, to get to them. I've had lots of conversations with him. I've been in meals with him, and he's passionate, he's candid, he's honest, he's entertaining. He talks a lot, but he's the kind of guy that loves what he does. What he does, you can see that, and the players will see that as well. Plus, he makes players better. He showed it at Sevilla. Even though the budget was limited, he worked with Monchi, another director of football, and there was a chemistry there, and they pushed on Sevilla to 3 Europa League finals and wins. That's another important thing. The fact that actually there's a difference between taking a team to a top 4 and to actually start to winning. He was helped, of course, in the knockout competitions by the tradition of Sevilla being good in those knockout competitions, but also because he planned the games so well, so much detail in them. Players knew exactly what they had to do. How does Emery compare to Wenger, positively or negatively? Torgeir is asking. How do you compare that? I mean, as I said, the shadow of Arsene Wenger is going to be huge, and every defeat he will be remembered, every victory he will be forgotten. I think you should start judging Unai Emery from a clean sheet. Unai is less charming than Wenger. He adds more work, maybe work is not the word, more detail to what teams and players do, both in training and in games. Not everybody will accept that. There are some players that feel, and perhaps are now in the comfort zone. You're going to have to help the managers, Arsenal fans, because players don't want to be changed. Players just want to go to training, not watch the man, and then just go to the games. Others are winners. The winners at Arsenal will want what Unai Emery is bringing. That intensity in training, in the message. He will sharpen everybody up. He will demand more of everybody, and everybody will have to come out of the comfort zone. The ones who are winners, I'd say the Bellerins of this world, they'll be fine. Others, they may not accept it. But in any case, I think everybody's ready to give you fans of Arsenal the possibility of enjoy a better season. They all owe you that. They all owe you that in that team. So you get in a manager that, yes, will push them, will certainly push them. Who will he buy? Sorry, I'm getting all blurred. I'm back on. Just wait. Wait until he gets announced, obviously. But he will not be in full charge of the transfers. And that's the thing that Arsenal are trying to do now. In Raúl Sanllehi, they've got somebody who's very well known in the market, who has got a lot of contacts. With a phone call, he talks directly to the chairman or the important people that sell players or that can buy players. That's Barcelona are missing that, and they cannot trying to regain that through some of the people that are at the club. But he carries it with him. He's got a fantastic contact book. With Sven Midlintant, if one day I'll learn to say the name properly, you've got the analysis, the technical analysis, both players coming in and obviously the ones that may go. There's more people involved there. Francis Cajijao, who is the international head of scouting, again, somebody who, if I'm not mistaken, what I heard is that he was the one that almost brought Messi, Piqué, and Cesc to Arsenal. Eventually, both Piqué, who actually went to London, decided to go to Manchester United, and Messi eventually decided to stay at Barcelona. But you got Cesc. So there's a lot of people in there that perhaps need again to be utilized, maximized, because the potential of the club is immense. You know that. Nobody has to tell you that. In terms of developing young players that I've seen just question there, Unai is somebody that doesn't look at the passport to see which age players have. He's happy to give opportunities. He also knows that, once you get to the elite, you have to win, of course. So it's not about only developing players, but he will be close to that process. And that is, by the way, something that is exciting to him. Formation, Beach is asking. We'll see. And that's the other important thing of Unai Emery. He adapts to his teams. He sees what he has and then just decides to play in whichever way goes well for the side and for the players that he's got. It's not so much about looking for a specialist that do just one single thing. He likes versatile players, but he could be at Sevilla, for instance. His teams were strong when they didn't have the ball, not aggressive, but on the verge. And when they have the ball, they were very fast and pacey, and their transition just opened up defenses that way. He liked to play that way. He did that with Valencia as well. But he had Villa and he had Silva, which helped them with that. But with PSG, for instance, a different type of players. You saw what he did with Barcelona in that first leg. Then, of course, there was a mentality issue with that squad for the return leg, and everybody's to blame for it, no doubt about it. And yes, referees helped Barcelona and then Madrid this season as well. But more than that, in the case of Barcelona, PSG did not manage to control the game in the way they should have. Players should have been keeping the ball, pushing the ball away, anything that meant that the dynamic that was getting away from them was changing. Now, as I said, everybody has to blame for it, but everybody has to blame as well for the first leg, where they destroyed Barcelona. With Real Madrid, it was the same. In the first leg at the Santiago Bernabeu, what you actually got was a PSG that played better than Real Madrid the first 80 minutes. And then what Real Madrid does is that they bring quality from the bench, Lucas Vázquez and Marco Asensio, and they transform the tie from a 1-1 that was deserved, perhaps PSG deserved more, to a 3-1. Then again, there were referee decisions in the second leg, which took the tie away from PSG, and their own mistakes too. But you have to look, for those of you that have got the time and want to do it, look beyond the results of PSG against Barcelona and Madrid and see what Unai Emery did with the side. PSG controlled the game against Real Madrid. It was about passing, it was about movement, it was about identifying the weaknesses of Real Madrid and attacking them. So this will Emery accept that there is Midlinton and Raúl Sanllehi have got more power than them, and I don't think it's about power. Quite clearly, the position of the two of them have been determined already at the club, and then a coach knows knowing that happens. So it's not like they gaining authority over the head coach. They are there, and those conditions have been accepted by Unai Emery. So otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So budget is going to be important, as Luke is asking. Yes, the 50 million figure of net spending, it's important. And I think it comes perhaps, not sure if it comes from the club, but it's information that you just have to look back at what they spent in recent years. You put the 5 years, perhaps in the last 5 years, and you'll see a similar figure. Okay, imagine it's 50 million pounds net. It's not the same 50 million pounds net when you spend 100 million, that if you spend 400 million or 200 million. What I mean is, will they be able to raise enough money to actually go and spend 200 million? Because if they're able to do that, then they can get very good players. If it's only 60 million they have available, if they spend 60 million, means that they only recoup 10 million from sales, then they won't be able to get so many good players. But that is the job that the new structure of Arsenal are doing. It is a European way of doing it, as some would say, and it does obviously seem to me the way forward. It shouldn't be just about one person choosing everything at a club. It should be about a club determining an idea and the right people to take that idea forward. So there is so much more that we could talk about Unai Emery, but I've got to have dinner. It's been a long day. I've been in the sky for many hours, and then I met some people, and then anyway, we will do that. Cazorla, I think he's going to go actually to Villarreal for pre-season and see if he feels fit enough to actually, be able to compete at the elite. I hope he does. What a lovely guy Cazorla is. Right, okay, time to go. What else should I remind you? There's big things coming up in the YouTube channel on Wednesday. Well, tomorrow we'll put the second part of the Marcos Alonso interview. You'll be interested about him. He is somebody who's been 8 years away from home and has got good stories to tell. Wednesday is the interview with Jurgen Klopp, or Jurgen Klopp. The full interview, the one I did in Marbella with him. And I think you're going to enjoy it, because you're going to hear things from him that he actually hasn't come out yet. And then Benitez will be on Thursday or Friday. I'll have to talk to my people. But again, we were for an hour in Newcastle only about 10 days ago. And I tried to bring out a more personal Benitez, and I think we succeeded. So that will be in the YouTube channel this week too. Plus, we'll preview the Champions League final, of course. I'm on my way to Kiev on Thursday. And you know that idea that I had of getting videos from girls, women who are making fans, who are making their way to Kiev? Well, I've got a bunch of 5 or 6 who not going together, but I'm going to try to convince them to do videos of the journey. I want to hear from them. I want to hear from female fans and how they live that experience, how they'll get to Kiev, who they'll go with, and yeah, what will be the experience like? Because I'm tired of hearing of male fans about that experience. Yes, we know what it's like. Now I want to hear from female. So we'll put all that together and then hope to meet them as well on Friday or Saturday maybe, just to I can get the experiences of their trip and they can pass the videos, etc. And then we'll put all that together for after the Champions League final. And I will be in Kiev. I'll be on that pitch watching that fantastic game. But today was all about Unai Emery. And I hope that you've actually got a little bit of information about him. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.